Hey, what's up guys, I'm Pugal here. And yep, you asked for it, and this is a review of the Samsung Galaxy M02. This is one of the best beginner smartphone. This is not perfect, I'm not going to say that bad lie, but this is one of the best. And let's see what it can do and who does this phone meant to be and how it's performing. So I've been using this roughly around 2 months. This is a full complete review. We are just going to know everything about this smartphone and this series. It's going to be a fun video. So what's the M series? Why does it even exist? There is Samsung Galaxy S series and the Note series. They are the flagships. And on this side, there is A series, the mid-range smartphones. But suddenly, it just popped up the M series. Why? So, you can have a 14 megapixel on a flagship, also on the A series, because A series have the same features, or most features will be available on the A series, but you can have a 48 megapixel on a flagship, also on the mid-range, but the chipset, the color science and a lot of things will be much better on the flagship. It should be, because you're just paying a lot of money onto that smartphone. The A series wouldn't be great even though it has the same features. Then why the M series? The answer for that, the M series is mainly created who wants more battery life, the person who doesn't care about the performance, the display and so on. So this is for you guys. And why am I just telling this is useful for the beginners? So who doesn't have an experience just buying a smartphone, or who doesn't ever used a smartphone, and this is for your child, it will be much better. And it is a low-end budget smartphone. This is mainly focused on the battery life. This is a pretty long explanation. Yep. Never mind, let's get in straight to the video. Now the specs are pretty easy. It has a volume rocker and a power button on the right, a headphone jack, microphone, micro USB and a loudspeaker at the bottom. It's 9.1mm thicker, which weighs 206 grams. This is a pretty hefty smartphone, but you will get used to it. And with a glass front, plastic back, which doesn't feel cheap. Also, it is a textured matte finish, means no fingerprints, is my style, fingerprint market. And the plastic frame, also not glossy and cheap, as I mentioned, matte finish. So yep, I really like it. It also supports dual SIM 4G. It has dedicated slot to expand your storage using micro SD. Speaking of storage, this is 32 gigs of storage. This is the main version, no base version or the high-end version. 2 or 3 gigs of RAM. So this is meant to be who doesn't care about the performance and the storage, just to chat and do some simple things. Now wait a sec, what is the price? And it's a $120 worthy smartphone if you're just, as I mentioned, battery guy and battery life person. But we'll just need to talk about the performance, right? Because the performance, if it is laggy while just searching, because it has 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage, so it's pretty low. And could I just open about 5-6 tabs in Chrome? Could it handle this? But actually it can handle, but not like 20 tabs or like that. Even the 12 gigs of RAM smartphone will also be laggy sometimes. So the performance is actually amazing. So you can play a lot of games in low settings. Some of them will be higher because they are some of the simple games as like Among Us and Temple Run, and some of the low-end games that are available on the Play Store. Some of the big games like PUBG, you can just play it in the low settings, but it will be much laggy because 2 gigs of RAM, it won't handle as much. But you can just play like a Free Fire and Genshin Impact in low settings, and it will just be fine. But if you're not kind of a guy, okay, so it's fine. So your child or children can just play a bit of games to introduce them, these are the games, or to experience how the game feels and a lot of things. But the performance, it's actually not amazing, it's not even great, it's just in the good range. And the price, the performance, it's not actually worth it, because there is a lot of smartphones that are just available on this price range, even low, but the performance will be just amazing. So the performance is just a good range, so that is it. I just don't know how about I just talk a lot about the performance, because this nothing too crazy, so I hope you get it. The display, as this is mainly focused on battery life, so 1600 by 720p 6.5 inch with the tall 20 by 9 aspect ratio, running Android 10 One UI 2, so I'll just hit One UI, with the help from 28nm MediaTek MT6739W. The dual cameras are also not pretty high end. 13 megapixel wide angle camera which has autofocus, not pretty helpful. It is actually not worse for the low end smartphones. Also the video is 1080p at 30 frames per second. 2 megapixel macro camera. Wait a sec. Why there is a macro camera? If Samsung or any other manufacturers, if you want a second camera on your smartphone to make it look much better without just putting a single camera on the smartphone, if you just want it, why are you just spending just for the macro camera, which is useless? You can just add more bucks and just add a ultra wide camera, even though it is worse, but you can have a terrible thing without just having a useless thing. So please do it. I just don't want to talk about it pretty boringly and pretty lengthy on this video. I just don't want to waste your time, but please manufacturers, just do it. I'll just hate it. Now the 5 megapixel front facing camera is soft, noisy, and the color are desaturated, plus dynamic range is bad. Now the main thing that I'm just saying from the beginning, the battery life. It's doing a great job, and the battery life, some of the features are like, I can just use it without just doing a full load, but it can hold it up, but it can just die in about 8 hours. I'm just doing a great, like a lot of jobs. This 9.1mm smartphone packs 5000 mAh battery. The battery life on this is just mind blowing. You can't just finish it in a day, but for me it's great. Not excellent, because I watch a lot of YouTube videos and simple photo or simple video editing and web browsing. These are not full load, but if you're not that kind of a person, just simple searches and chatting, also not caring about the performance, it will be a full day battery life. So here you have it, the review, you asked for it. As I mentioned, this is pretty simple. So if you're like the person, as I mentioned, who cares more about the battery life, not caring about the performance or the display, this is for you, especially for the beginners. This is one of the options. I'm not just telling that just pick this. This is just the option that you can choose. Hope you enjoyed it. That's pretty much it. Catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.